Guys, thanks so much for joining us. So today we've got a little review of the Ping i500 iron. Now it's been out for a few weeks now.
It has, yeah.
So we're just kind of gathering up a lot of testing that we've been doing recently, and this is one that we've really wanted to do. Not only just test the iron, Matty, but one of the things that makes this one a little bit different is Ping's decision to offer it in multiple specs.
Yeah, that was the first thing I noticed about it being a differentiator from P790 and the other kind of powerful iron designs. Giving someone a chance to have the higher lofts.
Yeah.
Because we saw P790 in an older video when we weakened them, was really quite a good iron for even me.
Right.
But in a strong loft configuration was too hot.
A little too hot, a little too low spin.
Yeah. Just kind of rocket launchers.
Sort of ideal. So
yeah.
The standard loft in this guy is 27 degrees.
Right.
So fairly strong lofted. Probably more like an old-fashioned 7 iron by most people's standards.
Yep.
Sorry, 5 iron. Yeah, by most people's standards. So I think the one thing I wanted to see with this is that the same sort of comparison, same correlation when we go back up to 29, which is what retro spec is.
Right.
Does it fly like a traditional 6? When it goes down to power spec at 25.5, does it? What happens?
Yeah, do we still get a usable ball flight, or do you all of a sudden just hit low bullets or high kind of soft ones?
The thing with this, and this is a big argument that goes on nowadays, and kind of defend this till I'm blue in the face about this whole kind of stronger lofts and the effects and stuff. And guys, there's a lot of you out there watching this who kind of be of the mindset that the company's just strengthened lofts to make it go further and that type of thing. They do, but it's just for a certain type of golfer.
For sure,
If you're the golfer that's a little bit scoopy and adds a little too much dynamic loft, and there's a lot of them out there, those types of golfers really benefit from having a little less loft.
Because really all that matters is what loft you deliver.
Delivered loft.
It doesn't really matter what
loft.
It starts at.
Oh.
Yeah, it makes no difference.
Now, being in an iron that is somewhat adjustable so that over time, because we want you to work on your mechanics. Of
course, yeah.
We're not by any means saying, put multiple Band-Aids on your game and deal with a misfire and swing or a dysfunctional swing. It's not what we're saying at all, but the reality is that is what the case is right now for a lot of people. They deliver too much loft, they hit it too high, they don't hit it far enough to really, improve their game and benefit from that type of stuff. So there's people who really can benefit from this technology. But this retro spec, power spec, standard spec idea gives the person that maybe if you do lean the shaft forward, retro spec is great at 29 degrees.
I know. I think that's, honestly, I think my first reaction was that is the best kind of version of this style of iron.
Yeah.
Give people the option to do with it what fits their game versus kind of everyone needs to hit it super far, and then you have to use this loft, but you have 3 different configurations.
Right.
It's essentially 3 different performing clubs, as we'll see with the numbers.
Yeah. So most of you, when you obviously see these lofts going obviously stronger, go, well, the spin goes down, the flight goes down, the ball goes further, but it comes in too flat.
Right. Can't be stopped on the green.
You lose control, and it just doesn't really work.
Yep.
Okay. This test is going to shock you. So we had the power spec at 25.5, standard at 27, retro at 29. So we actually had the carry distance on the power spec at 204.
Yes.
The standard spec at 196, so 8 yards less. And then 11 yards less was the retro spec.
Yeah.
Quite a difference.
It's a huge difference, yeah.
So that wasn't the surprising bit. The surprising part was the power spec was the one that flew the highest.
Really?
And had the best land angle.
Because of the ball speed?
Because of the ball speed.
Okay.
So the velocity played such a role up at 135.
Right.
The spin reduction wasn't that much. It was only about 140 RPMs.
Which you probably wouldn't even notice.
Yep. So the power spec flew at 115 feet and had 47 degree land angle. The retro spec, the most lofted one at 29 degrees, flew 15 feet lower and had a 1.6 degree shallower angle of descent.
So it was coming in more shallow.
It was coming in more shallow, had a fraction more spin, well, more than a fraction, but had about 300 RPMs more spin, but not a crazy amount.
Wow.
So the best iron for you as the player testing this to kind of benefit from all of those things is it would be the Power Spec for you.
And that's the complete opposite of what I would have thought. If you said to me, which one do you want? No fitting, pick one blind. I'd say just get me the Retro Spec because the Power Spec will be too low, too long, not enough spin.
When we do these tests, I'll be back here watching the numbers as Matt's hitting, and then I'll kind of get excited if I start to see patterns emerging. And I never really tell Matt what it is, so that when we do these conversations about it, the reaction is very organic. Yeah. And that's when I saw this happening. I was really excited to go, wow, this is a big surprise that what we're seeing here. So between the irons, there's about a 15-foot difference in height.
Quite amazing,
yeah,
really.
It really is quite amazing. And what do we have? 17 degrees of carry distance between power and retro.
Yeah. So you've really you've given up nothing because you have almost the same amount of spin. Retro has 300 more RPMs, a bit. But when you talk about stopping power, the Power Spec has more because the ball got in the air more due to the speed. So that's if people are wondering why you're saying ball speed gives more elevation, it's just because there's more momentum behind it to send it higher into the sky. More velocity. Yeah. And that's sent it 15 feet higher in the air.
Right. The key to the whole thing is the ball speed is changing, the spin rate is changing. The one thing that was really interesting is the launch angle stayed consistent. That's why that's why basically the test ended up the way that it was.
That is, the launch angle I think was the most surprising one to me. You probably get some variance based on who's hitting it. Maybe that's just the way I deliver it.
You would get some variance based on who's hitting it, 100%. Yeah. You could get a couple of strikes a little low in the head that may tilt the strike down.
Yeah, and launch it lower.
And launch it a little down. It depends on test. We're looking, at sort of, the sort of micro performance.
We've hit a small selection of shots and see what happens.
We could hit a lot more. We could, once we have our test robot, we'll set it up to hit a bunch of balls, and you and I will go for lunch.
While it does the work. That sounds good to me.
I know.
It does sound great.
So,
but that's interesting though, because you would have expected to see Power Spec fly 3 degrees lower off the launch angle or so. So maybe some of that's me, but it's safe to say it's not launching quite as low as you'd expect.
Definitely.
And that's the design of the head, the CG location and such is giving it enough initial launch angle.
Very interesting, isn't it?
That's the complete opposite of what I expected. I knew that this would go further in Power Spec. I mean, that's not exactly hard to understand, but I'm surprised that the stopping power was better in the strongest loft. Not going to be the case for everyone, obviously. Yeah. But you'd think that someone at my speed and delivery would actually want the Retro Spec.
Yeah.
That's why you got to test all three.
Yeah, exactly. You just never know these things, and we're learning. This is a new product in the drawer. We're learning more about it all the time. So we're learning, the right type of golfer to give it to, and obviously someone who's looking for a little more ball speed, but looking to sort of get a really nice high launch out of it as well.
Absolutely.
That's an excellent performing iron for that type of player.
Yeah, and if you go to a demo day or a fitting, and they have it, let's say they generally have it at standard spec, you think, most places?
Most places will have it at the 27 degree standards.
Because I think it's worth asking whether they have to bend it for you like you do with the machine, or whether they have different heads. The performance at one loft is pretty drastically different at another loft. I mean, it's important to try a couple different configurations because it may work for you at one loft and not in another.
Yeah, exactly. Or be able to it might work and then just dial it in that little bit further.
Just make it perfect. Yeah.
So
very cool.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, I think that's where the details matter so much, and it's one of the reasons we bend loft and lies during fits here. And I don't know if there's many companies out there that really get involved in that, because it's a little bit tricky from a demo matrix standpoint. And we've got our connectors on there and stuff, and sometimes, like we learned today, the connectors
sometimes they break.
Sometimes the connectors break as you bend them. It happens. But it's worth it to see results like this, where you actually are able to experience the difference of moving loft and lies.
Well, you're able to take your demo matrix of whatever number of iron heads you have, let's say it's 30. Yeah. Really, you have 2-3 times that because you can change loft and lie with each one of them, make a different iron.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
That's awesome, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I think on the i500s that I'm not sure, I mean, I personally haven't had a chance to watch anyone else's reviews on this. I know there's probably 1,000 of them out there by now.
There's a lot, yeah.
But, you know, i500 forged coats, not that soft.
Feel-wise, yeah. Not the softest.
Not the softest.
They're a little on the clicky side, for sure.
Definitely.
A little firm feeling.
I kind of learned that when I was moving them actually a little bit, that they were on the firmer side. Now, the wall thickness is pretty thin, so you know it doesn't feel rock hard.
No, it's not a bad feeling iron. I wouldn't say that at all.
Definitely. It's kind of actually it's very similar to the P790s.
It is
very similar.
I just think if you were thinking, okay, this is going to feel like a Mizuno. No,
it's not going
to feel like that. Does it feel better than a cast kind of game improvement iron? 100%. Like it's definitely better than that.
Right.
They look extremely nice, obviously.
Yeah,
so
they look fantastic.
I think they've done so many things right that maybe the feel isn't going to be exactly what everyone wants, but it's, I would say, more than good enough for the amount of performance that you could get from it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree with that for sure. A lot of bang for your buck out of that one. So. Yeah, Ping just continue to kind of push the engineering envelope and doing an incredible job with their designs, and these clubs perform, there's no doubt about it.
Yep, you've been a big fan of Ping in 2018. They've got lots of good stuff.
Lots of good stuff, yeah. People have certainly have heard us say that. I think that's the benefit of the channel, is that we can share with you guys, you know, the results that we see in here, the companies who are making the good stuff. And you guys can obviously take that and go and try it, and you know, whether you book a fit or do whatever, go to a demo day, you can go and kind of experience exactly what we see in here on a daily basis.
Absolutely.
Good, excellent. Awesome. Guys, if you've been out there and tried i500s, we'd love to hear what you think. If you've messed around with the specs on them, the lofts,
absolutely, tell us
all of that sort of stuff. Let us know. Let us know exactly what you're experiencing with them. This will be surprising, and I actually have seen this in the past with these irons that are a little stronger in loft, actually going higher.
Really?
Velocity plays a huge part.
Wow.
People don't think of velocity and how much influence it has on height.
Certainly was not on my radar to this degree.
Yep. So those key things, velocity, launch, spin, in order to create the ball flight, they all have to sort of be nicely married together. So that's why we talk about ball speed so much. You know, it's the output, the energy output is got to be up there.
Very cool,
guys. Hope you enjoyed this. As we say, leave your comments below. We'd love to hear them. We'll be sure to get back to them as well, and we'll see you again soon.